Find a job you love and you'll never have to work a day in your life. But you will be exploited and you'll end up hating what you used to love. Find a job you can't regret and you'll never have a day of work. Find a job that makes your life expectancy longer and your death rate lower. And it doesn't matter whether you felt you worked. Why am I working to find a boring and or dead-end job at any age of my life? Boring means uneventful. Maybe lower stress. Dead end means you've already achieved end game. Yes, I know there's a ladder, but are you really trying to get the speed run in life? Really? Men have a higher death rate, whether externally or self-caused, than for women in all professions. Virtually all of them. Down below the description, yell pink tax and wage gap. Mind the wage gap. So I say work like a girl towards the lowest death rate and the longest life expectancy. But only in those careers where that actually worked that way. What do women do different than men? They don't take shit. They don't say, well, I have to work towards that bonus, so I'll work myself to death and stress myself to death. A stable, uneventful job in any of your year of your life, like the following, would be your best bet. Wholesale, retail, production, or office manager. You're a manager in an office. You know, just any meme you want to do there. You're a manager in a production facility. That means you're going to have technical knowledge and have to do a lot more shucking and jiving. But if you're in a production environment, unless it has a lot of changes, it will. But even if it does, you'll eventually get good at, if you keep doing it, shuffling things around to keep things running smoothly. That's your entire job, managing people and managing the equipment. If you're an office manager, it can be the same thing, but it's mostly people management. If you're in wholesale, you're doing a similar thing, but it's with usually one thing. Like I'm working a place that does nothing but steel tubing and pipe. I've studied this subject for an unrelated reason. I would be qualified. I could walk in and they'd say, well, what education do you have in this? I don't have a degree in it, but I had to learn about the stuff in metallurgy, specifically to make potato cannons and shotguns. Oh, yeah, I can quote PSI tables all day long. You want me to do it? And then proceed to do it until they tell you to shut up. Retail manager. Wait a minute, isn't that dead-end, boring retail job? Yeah, the next level up in the stopping point, if you're smart, has the longest life expectancy and the lowest death rate from any source I can look up, but that's just me looking up 3 or 4 sources. It's not like I'm looking at meta-study after meta-study after, you get the idea. Being not at the bottom level where you're saying I have a boring, dead-end, unfulfilling job, but you're the manager of a bunch of people who are saying that, has the lowest death rate for men and women, period, full stop. Why? Because the manager position they're talking about is really called a different thing if you're in retail. The boss at 7-Eleven up the street. They have a massive reduction in stress compared to a lot of other people because they have enough power that they're not as miserable because they can control something just a little bit. They have a sense of control. And then when they quit at the end of the day, they can turn off their phone because legally speaking, if it's a conglomerate, they can't make them answer the phone and come back in most of the time. Well, you have to be on call. Oh, I'm sorry, the battery went dead. Why don't you get a reliable phone? Because I don't want to die from a heart attack because of your bullshit job. Being able to say no and being able to get away with it while swaggering down the street is the reason I worked hard to find boring, dead-end jobs every time I would go out and get a job. Because I got spoiled by being a temp worker. Because that was the only job you could get. I was over 18 and under 30. I was 25. And I moved to Portland, and I did not have a lot of job experience that people could easily check on. I didn't have a career, even though I went for it. Career just means you're paid in such a way that you can demand a wage for what you do. Professional means you're being paid to do the work. Everything else is you're not being paid by demanding the wage. People begrudgingly give you money. You're not a professional if you have a job where every day of your life they act like they're doing you a favor by paying you what they're legally required to do. It's not a career. It's not you're not a professional. Right? That's how we perceive it, right? Okay. I'm the manager at a store. I'm the retail manager, not the clerk, but I'm also the clerk. I can do everything at the job site, but I have the power to do it and refuse to write anything down accurately and fix things, and it's literally I'm the king of all I survey. Working as the grunt worker at a computer shop. That's one of the jobs I had. Let's get that one done really quickly. Some of you watching my channel know that I worked until the company went out of business, and I rode that business until the wheels fell off, literally, by being the owner of the business at the end, because that's how I got my paycheck. I contacted the lawyer and said, I'm the only one here. And he's like, yeah, you're the only one who can sign paperwork. Does that effectively make me the owner? He's like, if you want to, give me the paperwork. I owned the company when it caved in. Everything had already been taken care of. It had already been dissolved. But the business entity on a sheet, literally a single sheet of paper, it's called a one-pager, still existed. And I was able to make almost all the money I lost for that year. Remember, I'm at a low pay level. So $6,000 to me at that time, you know, like being the guy who worked at the gas station, let's say, was almost a half year's pay. Someone's like, well, that's piddly. You don't understand. I can live off this. For how long? I don't know. I already adapted my life to working shittier jobs with lower pay and hadn't had to move for over 10 years. The pay I had to put out for the rent was $250 a month. I could fill up my refrigerator cheap because I went to wholesale places. Didn't have to be a member because I used to work there. They gave me a membership without me ever signing a piece of paperwork because I used to work at every one of them. I won't name them. It's all of them. Because I was a temp worker. And the first thing I did, I'm like, oh, here's a perk. Grab it. It was a lifetime card. I'm always a member. Didn't have to pay a damn thing. I was an employee. When I walked in, they assumed I had worked there recently. I just kept doing it. Is that legal? I don't give a fuck. I had a full fridge. Why do you care? It's a large corporate. Fuck Costco. I don't care if they lose a nickel on me. They were paying me wholesale rates. Yeah, I was a box boy, but they gave me a card. You going to throw that shit away? I renewed it every year. They didn't check. They didn't care. Yes, I got to work long enough at a shop where I was able to get computer parts. When I was running the computer shop, when no one would look, it was like, well, we can't get anything from MSI Corporation. Okay, I'll be back. I would go to a retail location, walk in, hand them the card. Oh, okay. And they would just sell me everything at cost, and I'd walk back with 15 motherboards and do the job and get more than pizza that month. I got a $100 bonus. Again, remember, I'm earning jack shit for the month, right? But I'm able to pay everything off because I have such a cheap life. Lower your standards, but only if it also lowers your costs. What are the other jobs I love? Now, again, that was a job I loved because even if I wasn't really the owner, when the owner and his relatives were out, I was it. Well, you're effectively a manager. Okay. Hey, we need to have blah, blah, blah. Okay, I take care of it. Oh, I get a bad customer. I'm not working for you. I want you to call the manager. I'm it. Get out. I had to auto dial 911. What are you doing? Getting the police here. You're going to have a record. Run. And I wouldn't talk to them. I get behind the bulletproof glass we got because my boss was just as much of a shuck and jiver as I am. He got it because there was a sweet deal on it. So there was bulletproof glass in the building. All of the glass was bulletproof. If any of you visited that shop and knew who I was, every plate of glass was bulletproof. And yeah, Vinny, when you showed up with that stupid .22 pistol, yeah, that was bulletproof plate glass. That really was bulletproof glass. No, you weren't all that. And that's why the cops grabbed you and kicked your ass. And to that other guy, we'll never know his name, who hit the bulletproof glass not realizing it was hammer-proof and hit himself with his own ball-peen hammer. You're welcome. I'm hoping that you still have headaches. The sense of power I had over my life was jacked up because I could pay off all the food, housing, and even medical coverage I needed easily. But you're poor. But I'm not miserable. And I could build up a year's worth of pay, which I lost half of it trying to maintain a company that I suddenly owned that I didn't need to. Shouldn't have bought it. I bought it for $1 and I still lost money. You get the idea. But I had the ability to build up a year's worth of pay. How many of you can say you could do that? There are gas station attendants who can do that because they make their life so fucking cheap. I lived in a basement. I lived in a retail place that happened to have literally a closet space. They called it a closet. It was the size of an apartment. And I lived directly above the Mexican restaurant. And another year I did it, I lived directly above the espresso bar. And I just fixed everything for everybody. Your straight job, your day job is what you don't quit. Again, it's dead end, but it's reliable. It's boring, meaning there's not really any events happening. You don't want surprises at your job. That's the last place you want a surprise. You don't want the go-go experience. What are the jobs that I've had that were satisfying? Working a pill bottling plant, bottling medications that were hypoallergenic first, so that we could all work there and we didn't have to sign any releases. And two, mostly vitamins and mostly antibiotics that were biosafe. Now, I don't know if you know what that means. It means they're not as effective, but you're bathed in it because we had to have clothing that was powdered with this stuff so that we couldn't put infectious material in the unpreservative bottles. Yeah, I was breathing vitamins and I was coated in antiseptics that were biocompatibles. I couldn't medically get sick for 2 years. I didn't need medical insurance. I just got medical exams to look for anything that might happen, cancers and stuff. That's it. Eliminated all the worry. Lots of stress gone away. Other job. Let's get this one done. Again, these are all low-paying jobs on paper, but again, I kept everything cheap, and those were my day jobs. The rest of the time, hacker. I did computer work. I learned. What was the next job I had? Well, not in any particular order. Mopping floors at a large mall. You're a janitor. Then it's actually listed as porter. Then it's janitor. Then it's housekeeper. Well, part of the mall was a secret area that was rented out for the largest supercomputer in North America for about 2 years that you never heard of. And I'm in the building and I'm a janitor, so I have all the keys. No shenanigans happened. Everything's fine. Most satisfying job I ever had. But the thing about it that was satisfying is working the job before I got the job, I made sure that I was in the goodest condition as I could be and went in for the medical exam and faked my way through it. You have no medical problems because I really didn't have any medical problems. Right after working a job where literally I'm bathed in antibacterials and all the stuff. They're not antibiotics, they're antibacterials. And vitamins. I was in massively good health. I was riding that wave for a couple of weeks. I mean, seriously, my vision improved. And I took care of myself. And I lied about previous existing conditions because prior conditions is a lie. It just means that they don't want to pay out. So I didn't show up as having anything when I got the medical exam for the medical insurance. And then a year later, when my spinal column ruptured, I didn't have to pay a dime because the business was worried about a lawsuit. So they just repaired everything, and I came back to work a week later like nothing had happened because they acted like it didn't. And I had a spinal column that there's one pair of vertebrae you can't break. No, I mean it. They're literally fused together. But friendly. But the point is, yeah, why was it satisfying? I had no problems I had to solve anymore. I just had to show up and do the work. I became indispensable. It's a dead-end job because they can't fire you because they would lose money. It's boring because you're not put through a stressful situation. Your life expectancy is longer if you work in education, training, or in a library. Or you're a manager for office, production, retail, or wholesale. Or you just find a job where you can, or a place where you can have the cheapest rent, get the cheapest food, and build it up to where even if you're fired, you're fine for over a year. And just don't tell the building owner that you lost your job and get another job if you can. Always find the cheapest place to live, learn how to hack, do a side hustle, but never quit your day job, and make sure it's a day job you would easily describe as dead-end, boring, and with no advancement, but just drop that and just go up one notch to be the manager of the people who complain the most, and you'll be fine, because you will have more power, or all the power, manager, no, the boss, and you're not as miserable as they are. Just a little bit better off. Set your sights a little lower. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. Bye.